This podcast is authorized and paid for by Friends of Gettner Drummond 2026.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Bold Ideas with Gettner Drummond. There's a lot of noise nationally about immigration, but here in Oklahoma, we've had real results. And General Drummond, your office has played a major role in that. So let's start there. What changed since you've taken office?
When I took office in January of 2023, we were under a Biden administration, and we were literally being overrun by Chinese syndicated crime members and Mexican cartels. We would go out, when I took office, I formed an organized crime task force to shut down illegal marijuana grow facilities. We would shut them down, and we would detain those who were here illegally, calling the Biden administration to, where do you want them delivered? And they would say, just release them and have them go to Kansas City. Of course, they never did. President Trump takes office. He closes the border and he demands enforcement of immigration issues. The world changed. From that day, when we go on a bus, which we do every day, we have, if it's a large bus, we have ICE personnel embedded with us. If it's a dangerous bus, we have a helicopter support from ICE with a gunman who also gives us forward-looking radar. And we have an ICE specialist in communications embedded with us. And then we have the ICE paddy wagon at the back of the train. Now, when we go in, we have the protection of the helicopter. When we breach the facility, so it reduces the possibility of loss of life, we immediately detain and we sort the Chinese, typically. Those that are in management and leadership, we take and we prosecute. Average sentence of 20 to 25 years. Those that are here illegally and promoting the illegal trade of black market marijuana are taken by ICE, photographed, fingerprinted on site, and put in the paddy wagon for processing for deportation. Just since President Trump has taken office and he has closed that border and demanded that enforcement laws be enforced, Oklahoma is the fifth leading state in the deportation of illegal aliens.
Wow.
Principally Chinese syndicated crime members and Mexican cartel members. We've been greatly successful in partnering with the Trump administration.
And so when you hear about noise in other states, they're not even processing close to the amount of deportations that have happened in our state. Yet we aren't having the fanfare that some of these other, the nonsense that you're seeing going on in Minneapolis and other places.
The problem is those states philosophically want to protect those that are here illegally and committing crimes. We had 100,000 foreign nationals in the state of Oklahoma committing crimes. And that's been our focus. And it's easy to coalesce federal, state, county, city, tribal law enforcement partners in the capture and deportation of those that are injuring Oklahomans.
So, yes, I am you totally understand where you're coming from. Major change with the Trump administration versus the Biden administration. A huge breath of fresh air for people like you and law enforcement trying to do the right thing. But when you took office in 2022, there were other deficiencies in our enforcement in Oklahoma. What were those? What did you recognize on the campaign trail and when you took office in 2023 that were the deficiencies that needed to be addressed immediately, and what have you done to change them?
In 2018, when we legalized medical marijuana, we became vulnerable. When Biden was elected, there was no enforcement of border security, and the Chinese and the Mexicans took advantage of that to bring their people into Oklahoma. And we had a ballooning of illegal activity in the state of Oklahoma. So that by the time I took office, we had, statistically, we know we had about 9,000 legally recognized marijuana grow facilities. And the FBI informed me we had about 3,000 off the grid, 12,000. Nothing had changed. There was some enforcement by OBN, but there was no concentrated leadership by the state administration at all. One thing changed in January of 2023. I took an oath of office to defend our state. And that's when I knew we had this problem, and we organized the task force with the manpower to deliver a defeating blow to organized crime in Oklahoma.
Why do you believe it was the AG's office that had to take this lead and take this responsibility in enforcement in our state?
I'm the chief legal officer. It's my responsibility. And the only way that we could conquer is through organized efforts, federal, state, county, tribal, municipal. And as that leader, I was able to coalesce these forces and bring the fight to the enemy.
As the leader of as the attorney general, the leader of this task force, what did you begin to demand from your team, maybe that your predecessor did not demand?
Well, one, we changed the entire culture of the Attorney General's office. Before my administration, the agents that we had good men and women but they were not tasked correctly. I came in and we tripled the size of the agent channel, and we demanded physical fitness, marksmanship expertise, training on breaching, controlled settings, uncontrolled settings. And then I brought in excellent leaders from the federal side into my agency. My chief agent is a 22-year FBI leader. My leader of the Organized Crime Task Force is a 21-year DEA expert in drug enforcement. Those two men, with the culture, the mission, the empowerment, and the equipment, have coalesced the team to deliver the blows.
Amazing. So tell our listeners, what does the coordination with other law enforcement agencies look like? Are there ever any territorial battles that you have to navigate? And how do you lead a team with state, federal, local, tribal to go into an area and conduct a major raid and bust?
When I first took office, I went to our federal partners, principally FBI, DEA, Homeland Security. And they said, you know what, Oklahoma, you're not doing anything. It's on you. And I said, okay. But I want you to support me when I start showing you that we can do it. Now, they are embedded in every operation that we have. We have become the darling of the federal law enforcement agencies right here in Oklahoma. I had a DEA expert say, Drummond, you are effectively have created a mini FBI inside your attorney general office. You're attorney led with qualified men and women and your agents, the law enforcement side, and it's lethal. We define the objective at the legal side. The agents deploy and do timely and appropriate arrests, and then we prosecute. And so it's a coalition of skill inside the Attorney General's office, partnering now daily with FBI, Homeland Security, DEA, that are remarkable partners. They've always on the field been remarkable. Philosophically, under Biden, they didn't give us support. Now under Trump, they're there day to day, shoulder to shoulder.
Amazing.
It is.
Now, we'll change gears a little bit here. Your opponents in the race for governor, they like to stand on the stage and say on day one, they're going to sign the executive order to take back all this foreign ownership of land. And it's interesting to me that that's the approach that they take, since you've actually been doing this work on a regular basis, and not through a harebrained political idea, but actually through the rule of law, taking back this land. So tell us about that work.
Every marijuana bust that we accomplish, we initiate civil asset forfeiture for the vehicles, the cash, the guns we destroy, and the land. And the land requires the rule of law to be applied. So when an opponent that's uninformed and doesn't want to be informed by the law says executive order, what keeps him from saying executive order, we're going to take the land from all redheaded people? Right. I mean, there's a rule of law. So in Oklahoma, you can take the land of a foreign national who owns it illegally, and you can take the land of anybody, foreign or natural born, who is engaged in an illegal activity that has land. So we're doing that both. Predominantly, they're Chinese based and are very difficult because they layer their LLCs to this level of 6 to 10. We have to go back and unpeel the banana to get to
So you have a team of lawyers that are working on looking at these land deals and seeing where there's nefarious activity. They have to unwind that all to be sure, right?
Yes. Okay. And then you have natural born people in Oklahoma that are breaking the law, and we're doing the same thing with them. So we've been successful on dozens of occasions. We've got 56 pending today, and we have 200 in the queue. But there are thousands to do. We're just limited resource, methodically, systematically, consistent with the law across the state of Oklahoma. When we take back the land, we visit with law enforcement to see if there's a need for it. In one occasion, we have a sheriff that wants a piece of this land for training. Great. Happy for him to have it. The rest we auction, public auction. We take the proceeds. We deliver it to the sheriff, the county commissioner, the district attorney, and the balance we give back to the state of Oklahoma.
Incredible. Okay, well, let's just go back here. You've mentioned these illegal marijuana grows that have been shut down. Let's just really outline what are the statistics. You took office, and there were how many grows? How many do we have today? How many have you shut down? Let's just go through those statistics.
When I took office in January of 2023, there were 9,000 registered grow facilities in the state of Oklahoma. The FBI informed me there were about 3,000 more off the grid. That's 12,000.
Okay.
That's an emergency level. We only needed probably 5. We had 12,000. So we knew billions of dollars of black market were being funneled out of Oklahoma with fentanyl and human trafficking. We took the battle to them the last 3.5 years. We have closed or shut down 10,600 illegal marijuana grow facilities in the state of Oklahoma. There are 1,600 left. Of those, we believe about 1,000 are illegal. So the work is still there. They are more sophisticated. They've hidden themselves in plain sight with the use of sophisticated lawyers, but we are breaking their back. We're infiltrating them with those that would turn state's evidence. We're using human intelligence, electronic intelligence. We're using our partners in the federal government. We know who they are. We know where they are. And we have them scheduled every day to shut them down and prosecute the leaders and deport the workers.
Wait a second. You said you use technology. Does that mean you've used flock cameras? Because your opponents said that we should, many of your opponents have said on stage multiple times that we should make flock cameras illegal in Oklahoma.
To the listener, don't break the law. You have nothing to fear, right? 99% of us obey the law every day. If you run a stoplight, we're not going to chase you down and arrest you. The flock cameras are incredibly effective in the targeting of these illicit grows. An example, we were monitoring a site that we knew would probably be a pickup site. 3 individuals on the little Zoom card, the
line shooters or whatever.
Yeah, it was a line. All of a sudden we see them go across the flock camera. I'm like, how odd? So we subpoenaed Green and we said, or Lime, and we said, at this location, at this time, who were they? And they go, well, these were the 3 guys. Here's their credit card information and here's their addresses. And we went and arrested them. We knew exactly, actually, we followed them. We watched the distribution and got a huge network because of that flock camera. Amazing. We are able to deter, shut down, prosecute criminals because of the flock camera. So if you're worried about going to church with a flock camera, don't worry about it. If you're going to school, don't worry about it. If you're going to the market, don't worry about it. Public safety requires that we know where the bad guys are. That's true. And the flock camera opens that door.
There are some people that will claim during this campaign when you or your opponents talk about immigration that it's just a federal issue. What do you say to those that say we shouldn't be talking about this on the campaign trail? Why is this a state issue as well?
It is a state issue because it invokes the violation of law and the jeopardy and endangerment of Oklahomans. We can be busy for many years arresting, detaining, and deporting those that are here illegally and engaged in illegal activity. And I think all citizens agree with that because these men and women are perpetrating a crime on Oklahoma. They're injuring the legal marijuana growers. They're injuring our communities with propagation of black market marijuana, which, by the way, is used. There's the chemicals that they use on their black market marijuana are illegal in the United States. They're detrimental to your health. The production and distribution of fentanyl, human trafficking, and sex trafficking is a blight on our state, and I'm breaking the back of that blight.
That's right. Well, what would you say to voters who want to know whether someone who's going to be the next governor is really going to be pro law enforcement and pro enforcing the laws we have on our books and pro strong border security? Make the case on why they should elect you and not one of your opponents.
One, I've illustrated leadership for 3.5 years. I understand the issues and I constrain myself by the rule of law. I'm unwilling to break the law for a soundbite or a click on social media. I'm accountable to the people and to myself and to the judiciary. So you need somebody who's disciplined, that's combat hardened. I'm unafraid of the challenges that are presented because I've been there in combat. And truly today on the field, on the ground in Oklahoma, it is combat against an organized Chinese Communist Party, who has targeted Oklahoma because of our low cost of real estate, our low burden of doing business, and our legalization of medical marijuana. It's created a cacophony in our state, and it requires a strong leader that will see it through to the end.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this today. This was informative. Thank you for listening. Please, if you'd like to get involved on Gettner's campaign for governor, go to drummondok.com. You can sign up to get a yard sign, make a contribution, host an event, knock on doors. The election's coming up on June 16th, and every vote counts. So thanks again for listening. Share the content on social media, and please get involved today.
This podcast is authorized and paid for by Friends of Gettner Drummond 2026.